Hi everyone, it's Laurie. I hope this video finds you all happy and healthy and doing well today. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're enjoying some of the holiday season, however it is that you celebrate it. We're having a very nice holiday season here at my home with my family. We had a very lovely Christmas. And I'm enjoying right now a little bit of my Christmas chocolate. It's very difficult for me to find soy-free milk chocolate. There's a lot of soy-free dark chocolate, but I do like the milk chocolate. And so I've already started cracking into this Christmas chocolate. It's quite good. Another little gift that Santa Claus gave me this year was this particular oracle deck. And I wanted to find some time to sneak away to do a video for you because I'm very excited about what I'm going to talk about. Just a few days ago, right before Christmas, I filmed a video with my daughter where we talked about the different kinds of cardstock in tarot decks and oracle decks that we like and cardstock that we don't like so well. It was a video response to Magdalena, Wolf of Coins. And in that video, one of the decks that I specifically mention is this, which is generally known in English as the Hungarian Gypsy Oracle deck. I purchased this from Amazon, from an international seller on Amazon who is in Hungary. I think it couldn't have been more than maybe $4 or $6, including shipping for this deck. So I was well aware of what I was getting when I ordered it, but I really wanted to see this deck. I have seen it before on Chris's channel, who is Chris in Greece. I believe he's Chris 375000 or 3797000. I think. I can put the information down there, but he's done quite a few videos using this Hungarian Gypsy Oracle deck. And I wanted to use it because I love cartomancy type oracle decks, Lenormand, Sibylla, things like that. And so I've had this for a while. But one of the things, as I mentioned, the cardstock is like it's like a toy, like a deck of cards you might get in Christmas crackers or in the Cracker Jack box, something like that, you know, I'll show you in a minute. And I mentioned in the video that there's another version of this deck that was in a green box, but at the time in the video, I couldn't remember what the name was, you know, exactly. But I did have it in my wish list, apparently on Amazon, among many, many, many other decks. And so my lovely hubby picked this up for me for Christmas, so it was a great surprise when I opened it. And I said, how did you even know? I was just talking about this deck, and that was when he told me that, you know, you had it on your wish list. So after taking a look at both of them, I decided I was going to film a video and talk to you all about the interesting things that I was finding in these two decks, which seemed to be just about the same version of the same deck. So let's talk about that right now. As I said, here's the info on this. It's from Hungary. It was produced in Hungary. Let me see where it says that. Yeah, product of Hungary right here. This deck is the Piatnik version. I believe this is translated as Gypsy Oracle cards in German. And that's the word that they use, that's French there. Now, this deck came with a type of little white book that I believe was a big long sheet of paper that got folded into small. I think so. I don't have it. I don't keep it in the box because I really don't use it. I believe it was completely in Hungarian. I don't believe there was any English with it. And so I just, you know, it wasn't really helpful to me. I don't use it. There are English words on these cards. And this is the Piatnik, which also comes with a little white book. This is a kind of a more typical little white book. Let's see, where does the English portion begin? Looks like it begins here on page 25. And it goes through to, it looks like French starts on page 43. So it's under 20, 18 pages of the English. This actually looks like it could be quite helpful and quite interesting. I haven't looked through the little white book yet. Okay. So first, as I mentioned in my other video, the cardstock on these cards, while these cards are quite large, as you can see, the cardstocks. So I can tell you what the cardstock reminds me of. If you have a box similar to this, where there's a bit of a laminate on the outside, but the inside is quite papery. It's just, you know, raw sort of paper there on the inside. That's exactly what these cards feel like. This is just completely plain, raw paper on the back. And then this front has just the lightest of a laminate over top, like a playing card box, or maybe a greeting card, something along those lines. Quite thin, quite poorly made. To be perfectly honest, they're quite poorly made. This is the size of a regular deck of playing cards, and the cards are exactly like playing cards, exactly what you would expect. They're flexible enough, not too, and there's a, you know, the playing card coating, typical playing card coating on both sides. The backs, you can see, are quite different. For reasons I don't exactly know, this says zodiac signs on the back, so there doesn't seem to be any zodiac involved with this deck, but they just chose to put the signs on there, so okay. All right, so I believed that these decks were this. I actually thought they were two different productions of the identical deck, and they aren't the identical deck. They're very, very close and very similar, and I'm going to kind of walk you through that. This is one of the reasons why I thought they were identical. You can see this picture looks very, very similar. There we go. Hopefully the focus will be cooperating today. So I thought I'd just kind of walk you through, talk a little bit about the differences in the two sets of cards, and just kind of talk about anything else that occurs to me as I'm flipping through. I like these decks a lot. As I said earlier, this kind of oracle deck. I like to do 9-card spreads. I think I might do, I mean, I'm kicking around doing a few videos on how I do different kinds of 9-card readings, or different kinds of readings, I should say, with Lenormand, Sibylla, Oracle, like this particular, you know, what's called the Gypsy Oracle, or I have the Little Czech Oracle, Mildred Payne Oracle, some other decks like that. So here we have the card that is the letter, and in the Hungarian deck, it looks like everything is in, let's see, I think this is Hungarian. Let's see. I think that's Czech. Hungarian, French. I think this is Czech. English. That's not English up there. German, English, and Italian. In this deck, we have German, French, I believe Hungarian, English, Italian, no, Spanish and Italian. I think so. No, I'm sure, what's this last one? Is it, it's Croatian. Oh, there's Croatian and Hungarian. Okay. I'm not helpful. Sorry about that, folks. If I have a feeling if you know the languages, you would recognize them, and if, like me, you don't, then it doesn't really matter. You know, you'll be fine with whatever languages you read. So we've got the letter, and you can see that the cards are definitely similar in that they must have been drawn with one in mind or the other in mind. And I can talk a little bit about that as we go on. As for comparison of the size of the image on each card, you can see that the cards themselves, oops, I'm so sorry. I'm looking at what I'm doing instead of looking at the camera. So this is a little smaller, but the width is the same. You can see here the width of the image in the Hungarian and in the Piatnik is the same width. You can see it's also the same height, just about. So the images themselves are the same size. It's just that the writing is smaller on these and larger on those, and so the card's a bit smaller and larger. So here's the officer. Again, almost everything, including quite a bit of the background. It's clearly the same. I have a feeling that the Hungarian deck, because it's kind of poorly made, and because this one is made by Piatnik, which is a fairly well-known name in Germany, I have a funny feeling that this was a knockoff at some point of this deck. And it wasn't just that the Hungarian printing company just, plagiarized the drawings. It looks like instead they hired an artist and redrew the drawings almost identical, but a little different. It's kind of been fun for me spotting the difference. Some of them are great and some of them are quite small. So you can see, obviously, that one was based on the other. As I said, I tend to think this was the original, but I'm not positive. Here's one that departs quite a bit. This is the gift card. No, quite a bit. Not really, but a bit. Look, fewer roses here, more roses there. This is an actual wrapped present. This is just a box of jewels. We do have a box of jewels here. Candelabra in the back. Mysterious red draperies on some kind of a desk. This is the constancy card. Clearly they were inspired by one another in some way. To be perfectly honest, and I'll be interested in what you think as we go through, the color is quite vibrant on the Hungarian card, and it's a bit dull, isn't it, on the Piatnik. And you can see there's a tiny bit of a gloss because this is just a traditional playing card. Like if you used a deck, any kind of deck of playing cards, this is exactly what this feels like. Here's the Widow. I actually find, I'll be interested in what you think, so please do tell me. I kind of like the drawings that were done in the Hungarian a little bit better than what was done by Piatnik. The faces are a little bit more alive and interesting, I think. That's just me. Here we've got the Journey cards. The Hungarian and German. I think it's Austrian, actually. Piatnik, I think, is Austrian. I may have said German a few times. I apologize. I'm fairly sure that Piatnik, is made in Austria, and I believe they're an Austrian company, so I apologize for that. Quite a different illustration here. Again, I do think I like that one a bit better. And here's the big house. Aren't these quite pretty cards? I really like them. Both sets, I'm quite happy with them. Here are two different judges. They both look a bit suspicious, don't you think? Like they're suspicious of whoever's standing in front of them. But look, it's the same statue of justice in the back, an open book, holding on to a book, and the purple color that I hope you're getting on the camera is fairly accurate to real life, and there's not much color in that. Here we have the Sweetheart card, and this was the one that showed me that they were obviously copied off one another. I do not know the background or history on it. It might be possible that this Hungarian company was actually purchased, or rented or something, whatever they would do, the license from Piatnik, but they needed to redraw them. I don't know how it actually happened. It's kind of fun for me to speculate on what might have happened, but the color of the dress is the same. And look at there's a heart in the upper corner with half of the heart shaded, and that's in both cards, which, tells me that obviously one of these was seen when the other one was drawn. Her head's a bit at a bit of an odd angle, isn't it? It looks quite like she's got a crick in her neck, maybe. And here we have Unexpected Joy. I like the idea of thinking that perhaps the artist just didn't think this man looked jolly enough and needed to make him look drunk. I mean, he looks like he's quite drunk. He wandered home on the back road, and he stumbled upon all of these winnings, and I like to think that that's what actually happened. And he's quite happy. And then he's going to stumble home to his little cottage with his family, and they're all going to mistrust where it was that he found these winnings. You didn't steal them, did you, Father? Why, I assure you, I did not. I'm so silly, you guys. This is what I'm like. Okay, here we have misfortune, obviously. I mean, look, this is just quite similar and quite horrifying. There are even two firefighters in the requisite pairing for most police officers, right? A tall, skinny one and a short, stocky one. It's a lovely card. A lovely card? Did I just say that? Okay, here is the male lover, the other version of the sweetheart card. And this is the man. And typically when I'm not talking much, I'm talking more about the illustrations and things like that. I'm not really talking about how I read these, but aren't the colors beautiful in the Hungarian version? It's actually really popping on the screen, and these are actually becoming slightly more washed out. But anyway, with the sweetheart card, I tend to see the sweetheart as the object of desire. Does that make sense? And the lover, the male lover card, as the person who's doing the pursuing or the desiring. So regardless of the gender of the person I'm reading for, or actually kind of, I mean, regardless of whether it's a love interest situation or not, when this card, the male lover, turns up, it tends to be the one who is pursuing whatever the object of their desire is. So it could be money, it could be chocolate bars, it could be fancy one-armed suits. I'm not exactly sure. He's wearing a very clever getup. And again with the half heart, with the right side shaded. Not sure why. And here we have falseness, trickery. You know, the snake is different in both of these. The cat's quite different. I always found this one to be a scary, nightmarish looking scene. It's quite dark. There's an alley, there's the trash can. It's a black cat, and he's freaked out by this absolutely giant snake, and that just happens to be in the alley behind the houses. This massive snake. And this one is a bit more of a, you know, a garden snake type. Oops, so sorry for bumping. I'm trying to keep the camera focusing. And this one, you know, seems to be daytime. It's a bit less malevolent. It's just perhaps something that you didn't expect to be happening, or a danger you didn't expect to find. You know, it's an alley cat. They're used to going in the alley. They don't expect to find a snake when they're trying to jump down into the alley. Looks like someone's got a ladder going up to that house. Ah, that could be something to be worrisome of as well. That's, you know, kind of the sorts of things I think of when I read them. This is the Fortuna card, Lady Fortune. It's quite a pretty one. They're both quite pretty. She doesn't look terribly happy. So coins and roses and all the good things, and she's standing on top of the world. Very similar. This is Malady card, and I tend to read this as kind of just something short-term that's going wrong, and it might be something going wrong with the person, or it might be you know, a hiccup, or not a hiccup, more like, you know, like when a wrench has gone into the plans. So something's gone gravely wrong. If you're, you know, installing some sort of a project, and you're installing some sort of equipment for a project. My husband is a project engineer, so on my mind is people installing things for projects, and one of your machines that you're installing goes wrong, and so it stops while you're getting that fixed or getting it replaced. That would be the kind of malady that we could see, in addition to health and things like that. You know, a setback with finances, something along those lines. And this one, this is the Piatnik version. It looks rather like a hospital, and I think this looks quite serious. I mean, this doesn't just look like this doesn't look like a short stay, a short illness, which is what the way I read this card is sort of a short setback of some kind. Whereas this one looks quite a bit like a short illness. She's in her home. She's got all her medicine lined up. She's got an aching head, a hot water bottle on her belly. And, you know, it looks a bit more like she's at home as opposed to a hospital. So this looks a bit less serious. Here's the baby card. And you know, it's fine. I don't have much of an opinion on it. That's a bit of a nicer illustration than this one. I think in this one the baby looks like it's flat. See? Like it's a piece of paper baby. It's just a cutout baby that someone slipped in there. Do you see that? I'll move it closer and let's see if you can see. Is it going to focus? I'll put that one down. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Come on, camera. Do you recognize that baby face? No, it doesn't. It's like, I don't think that's a human lady. There. It's a kind of an odd, flat little baby, like a little steamrolled baby. Who is that book character? Flat Stanley. That went all over the world in the mail. Okay, here we have the Widower card. And this card usually, I typically read this card about losses and deep types of sadnesses, deep type of grieving, losses, great things that we feel very sad about or that we feel like we've missed out on, that we had and is gone now. It isn't necessarily a person. It could be having to change a job that you really loved, or having to say goodbye to a friend who you really cared for, or not being able to live in a location that you loved before. That sort of thing. It's longer term. Okay, and we've got Hermes here as the message card, bringing us a message of some kind. We've got letter and we've got money. And Hermes in both cards. Merriment. So having some fun. Big difference. That looks like Meryl Streep, and who is that? He looks like a familiar actor as well. And then we have two very different, kind of quite friendly, personable faces. The faces in some of these, in the Hungarian deck, remind me of the Anna K Tarot, because they're quite emotional, very expressive, very kind of human, and not tremendously refined or, you know, pretty, like in a sense, a fastidious, pretty sense, where they're a bit, you know, finer and a bit prettier, polished. Might be the word I'm looking for. A little more polished, a little less polished. Here we've got the anger card with this little boy who's making trouble in both cards, and he obviously sneaked into where he wasn't supposed to. I like to think maybe put some sweets or something into his pocket, right? And he tried to get away. And the shopkeeper is chasing him out. And this one, he's an older man. He can't quite catch the little boy. He's just shouting at him, you know, get away from here. And this one he's a bit younger and a bit gruffer. He got the boy, and he's got him by one ear. And the boy is saying, ah, let go of my ear. And the man is saying, you little scamp, I'm going to tell your parents. You're going to be in trouble. So there we have the anger card. Here's the death card. Again, if we're actually comparing illustrations, I am a bit more of a fan of the illustrations in the Hungarian deck. He looks a bit spooky. I mean, just like, you know, comical spooky. And this one looks a bit Voldemort, kind of, I mean, rather grim and scary. But even down to sort of the dead branch in both. I think it's quite, you know, obvious, the similarities. And the newly turned grave. Here we have the Hope card. This is such a neat card. It's also in the Sibylla deck. And it plays a really, for me, it plays a really interesting role when I'm doing different kinds of readings. Because the upside of this card is supposed to be one of hope, right? So it's a hopeful figure, and we have this sort of Greco-Roman goddess type of a person right here, throwing flowers, and there's the ship sailing away. And in this one, the ship is sailing away into sort of sunny weather. You can see the clouds are golden. So they're sailing into, you know, good things, right? Good things. And the ship is sailing away into rain. See all the rain back there? And the thing that I always find most humorous about this is the ship sailing away. She's throwing flowers out, and she's holding the anchor. Okay? She's got the anchor for the ship. And she's saying, goodbye, happy sailing, goodbye, throwing her flowers, have fun, goodbye, hope you don't need your anchor. And my son, who he's never been in the channel, on the channel, he collects tarot oracle decks. He reads all kinds of things. He is a grad student who's studying to be a history professor, and he's a grad student, and he's also on the faculty at the university where he's a grad student. He's also on faculty because he does tutoring. He runs the tutoring workshops and things like that. But I don't think he'll probably ever be on my channel. I don't know. He might be. Yeah, I don't know. But this card, when it comes up in Sibylla, he calls and I am going to censor this. He calls it the "Go F Yourself" card. You know, as in, go F yourself. Go F yourself. Bye. Because she looks like she's like, bye. See ya, suckers. I've got your anchor. Good luck putting anchor down somewhere. I've got your anchor. So there's, on the face of it, this card would be about hope, good things happening. And this shows us that in this card. But there's definitely a shadow, and I read it this way to either one of those cards. There's definitely an element of, go F yourself. Good luck with that. See you later, sucker. This isn't going to work out very well, simply by nature of the fact that hope is holding the anchor, and she's on shore, and they're sailing away, you know, which I think is fascinating. So here we've got next thoughts, and it's just kind of the things this man is thinking. Here he looks quite sad. He's lost his love or something rather, maybe that his book was just quite sad and he finished it. And this one, he's a bit of he looks like a dandy a bit. He looks like Oscar Wilde to me. He's, you know, and he doesn't look tremendously sad. He looks like he's suffering with a bit of ennui, like all of the people at this house party are quite boring and not very common, everyone is. How very middle class you all are. I'd like to think he's got all of his little, you know, high-minded ideals. His thoughts. All right, I'm going to have to go a bit quicker. I'm really enjoying this walkthrough. I hope you all are enjoying it as well. This is the marriage card. Again, I'll be interested in what people think of the illustrations, who they think did it better. You know, the Hungarian deck or the Piatnik deck. I can tell you there's a massive difference, and if you do care even a little bit about cardstock, you may find this deck is almost unacceptable. It's so poorly done that I can see some people would just, you know, say absolutely not. Now, this is not, well, I used to have a deck and I've given it away now to someone, but it's a Russian Lenormand, and both sides of it are just raw paper. So it was just, you know, just printed off on raw paper, cut out. It looks almost like someone, you know, printed it on cardstock, cut it out rather roughly, shoved them all into a rather cheap box, but except it's professionally printed. It was just done really, really cheaply, super cheaply. Here we have the ecclesiastic. This would be the priest card or the church type of card. It says ecclesiastic here. And we have the Hungarian version, which is very beautiful, very colorful, with a lit candle. It's just a really lovely card. And all the brocades and tapestries and stained glass window. And this one, the Austrian version, is a bit more kind of clean and cold and cooler, lighter colors. So they departed quite a bit there. Ooh, and here we have the enemy card. This is another one that was, oops, I'm so sorry. There we go. That was really fascinating too. So here, let's look at the Piatnik version, right? So here we've got, he's an enemy, a fiend, right? So he's the nemesis, the enemy, and adversary. And he's sort of hiding down the street, you know, one hand in his pocket, very shady. He has kind of a shady expression with a little shady mustache. And he seems to be holding something in his hand. We don't know what it is. I mean, it could be a pen. It could be something else. Who knows? He looks like he's up to no good, but he doesn't look terribly dangerous. And then we have our Hungarian version here. He's downright, he's scowling. His mustache is sort of brutish and long, like a, you know, like a thug of some kind, a hitman. And he's holding this enormous iron rod. And so, I mean, nothing good is going to come out of that when, you know, whoever it is wanders out of these houses, or one of these might be a pub or something, and, you know, wander down the street. They're going to meet some trouble here. Isn't he funny? I actually quite like that. Okay, here we have another pair that are different from one another. This is the thief. In this house, well, it looks like both of them, they're sneaking out the door. You know, they're getting ready to leave with their sack of goods. This one, it's nighttime in the Hungarian deck. In the Austrian, the Piatnik deck, it looks like it's daytime. He looks younger, you know, perhaps like a younger person figure, a younger man, or even a female. This looks like a rather burly burglar. And one of the things that's most noticeable in this for me is that they've changed direction. So when I read Lenormand Sibylla and things like that, a lot of times I do take into account the directionality of it. And so in this case, while both doors are there, this character is going in this direction. See, even though he's opened the door, he's still going in that direction. This character is going in this direction. So that I can see how this might influence the way that I would read this one slightly differently than that one, depending on the size of the spread and where it was located. I hope I've made that clear. That was something that was kind of noticeable that I'm not sure if that came up in any of the other ones. So here we have jealousy. And this looks... I love you, Derek. I love you, Madeline. What's going on? Oh no, it's Oscar. And then here, this is, they're actually look quite sweet, don't they? And in this one, I sort of imagine this is maybe a younger woman, and she's sneaking off to see her young man. And perhaps this is an uncle or someone who's got hold of her purse strings, who's followed her and doesn't want the young man to get a hold of her because he's her guardian and he's got control of her money. Okay. So here's the fidelity card, faithfulness, trust. Two very different dogs, both of them in a cemetery. This is a very lovely picture, isn't it? See, I think the illustrator, you know, I rather like the illustrator on this Hungarian version. Do let me know what you think. Here we have the sadness card. And this woman looks quite young to me. She looks like just maybe a teen girl, and this woman looks definitely older, 20s or so. This looks like a more homely kind of dress, you know, a little bit. This looks quite luxurious. Both are in arched outdoor sort of buildings with checkered floors. And that's, you know, a bit of sadness coming. It's melancholy, that kind of sadness, a blue funk, being kind of down in the dumps. You know, it's not a lasting sadness. It's a short time. And here we've got the money. So two very different cards too. They departed quite a bit. There is a lot more money stacked up here. This money looks green, and I feel like this money looks kind of like dollars. You know, it looks very American. And this money has more of a European, I think, look. Probably agree. Actually, this almost looks like pounds, doesn't it? And here we have desire. Sometimes it's longing, something that you want that's kind of far away, or that you're waiting for, that you're waiting a long time for. And the women are drawn very differently. Again, I feel like this is more humble, a humbly dressed woman, and this woman is definitely in, she's got multiple curtains here. And even though this woman is looking out onto the water, it seems a more humble home. This one seems quite fancy. Either one is fine. Just interesting to see the differences. The love card. with our little Cupid. See this face? Doesn't this look a lot like the Anna K Tarot or Lenormand to you? Quite a friendly... Okay, sorry about that. So these are the two different love cards. Again, they're kind of in the same direction. This one, he's still holding his arrow. This one, he's already let it fly. So it's going to go and hit someone now. Okay. Here is the card for some money. It's a smaller amount of money, not a fortune. It's just some money. A nice small winning, a raise at work, a gift money, you know, a gift of some money, a small loan, things like that. And even the chairs are the same. So we can see how much there is continues to be influence on this deck. On one deck by the other deck throughout the deck. Here we have loss, and we've got some people gambling away all of their hard-earned money. If they got some money there, they're gambling it away now, or perhaps they get some money after gambling, and the loser walks away and the winner has the money. And in this one, we have two very different kinds of gamblers. In the Piatnik deck, you can see they're sort of businessmen, a little bit well-to-do. They're drinking alcohol and playing cards and smoking. In this one, it feels like there's a bit more of a humble look about them. He's smoking a pipe. He's smoking a cigar. There's no alcohol. Even the lamps are similar. So, and this is the last card. These are the last two cards. This one is for a visit. There we go. And obviously, the cards are based upon one another. In this card, they chose to use purple instead. However, the dresses are very similar of the woman receiving the visitor. So she's coming for a visit, bringing some flowers. And of course, we don't know when we're doing the reading. Are we going to receive the visit, or are we the visitor? Are we making a visit? So it's kind of an interesting. There's still the window there, and the lovely stair. And there we are. We've reached the end. So I think what I will do, let me try and shuffle these on camera. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I think I've shown you before. I'm really, really up close with the camera. Maybe I will, yeah, give me a minute and let me readjust the camera just a bit so I can pull back. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is going to work a bit better. I hope this background works okay. It's just a piece of faux fur that I got from the fabric store. It's a kind of a faux rabbit. It seems to be what rabbit would look like with these strips. But I think it makes a very nice kind of wintry background, particularly for some of my more earthy decks. So I'm going to use this Hungarian Gypsy Oracle first to shuffle. I'm not terribly good at shuffling. If you follow my channel, you know that. And you can see how that shuffles. It just isn't, it's not a resilient deck at all. Okay, let's see if I can shuffle this one. I don't know if I can, folks, because it's going to be, you know, 36 cards, which is the standard, but they're like playing cards. And sometimes I can shuffle playing cards, sometimes I can't. So, yeah, I'm going to be able to shuffle these fine. Oh, that's lovely. Wow, that's quite nice. Yeah, very nice. They shuffle well, and they're just exactly like playing cards. Everything you can imagine, like playing cards. Alrighty then. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. I really was excited about doing it. I wanted to look at the difference between the two sets of cards and kind of compare the artwork in both of them. Some of the, you know, the languages are different, so depending. Personally, I feel like just after working with these cards, you just work for those. I've had this deck for a while now, I think maybe a year, I'm not positive. But I find after working with them for a few months, you do start to memorize the images, and wouldn't necessarily need the words down here. They could probably be cut off if you wanted to. But the deck's so small anyway, I don't see any particular reason to do so. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed this little walkthrough. I really enjoyed doing it for you. I hope you get a little something out of it if you decide to buy these cards. You know, I'm not sorry that I bought this deck. I'm sure I'll keep it. I'll probably use this one more just because it's very durable and quite a nice size and quite easy to use. But I still like this deck quite a bit, and I imagine that I might get this out sometimes, particularly for the images being so very pretty. And the baby not being flat right in this one. Oh, I'm so sorry, I was out of the camera. Okay. So if you have any questions, if you want to give me any answers to any of the questions that I asked you during this video, I would love if you would leave me a comment or whatever below. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your time with me as we flipped through this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.